Well, welcome to another edition of WIN TV, your digital broadcast of the Washington Informer newspaper. I'm your host, Denise Rolark Barnes, and we're so glad to have you here today. You know, the Washington Informer is your trusted source for news in the African American community, and we want to bring that to you not only in print in the newspaper, but also here on WIN TV. Gosh, I got a lot of light in my eyes today. Okay, we'll kind of figure that out. But at any rate, there's only 3 days left in October. Can you believe it? Only 3 days left and 2 months left before we reach the end of 2022. Where has time gone? I mean, it has just flown. I don't know about you all, but it's just flown. I mean, it's like you blink and then it's gone. So we're already talking about 2023, New Year's resolutions, what the economy is going to look like, jobs, housing, all of that into a new year. An election that we're just coming through, midterms, we'll come through that on November the 8th. And then we're looking at a new election, the general election in 2024. And so, it's going to be really intense. If you're tired of hearing election news now, you probably haven't heard anything yet because it is going to be all just all the way live as we look at the next presidential election in 2 years. And 2 years will be here just like that. So anyway, I just hope you've had an opportunity to pick up a copy of this week's Informer. I'm gonna, love to show this to you now. I love showing you the printed copy itself, which you can get at newsstands and throughout the DMV. And if you happen to have a location near you that you think would be willing to carry the Washington Informer that's convenient for you to pick up a copy, why don't you email us at news@washingtoninformer.com. Again, that's news@washingtoninformer.com, because we certainly would like to make sure we make the printed paper accessible to those who want it. Of course, you can always read the digital edition. That's available at www.washingtoninformer.com. So you can go there, you can read all of our news, you can get the digital edition. This week, the monthly edition of The Bridge is included. A great article on some really, just all the way live. I keep using that term right now. But anyway, a skateboarder in DC who I think is really making a difference, not only on the skateboard scene, but also just an influencer as well. So you might want to read that in this week's Washington Informer. And you can watch us on Facebook. If you are watching, I don't need to tell you that you're doing that. You can go ahead and hit share so your followers can see the broadcast. Hopefully some of you all may have seen me out there on Saturday at the End HIV walk, sponsored by Whitney Walker. So occasionally I'll jump on and do a little live broadcast if I'm out someplace. So we want you to follow us on Facebook so that you can catch some of those episodes and many other things that we are posting there. If you're watching on Twitter, be sure to follow us there and we'll follow you back. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, which is Washington Informer TV. All one word, no spaces, Washington Informer TV. Things that we're talking about in the news, I always like to bring a couple to you before Curtis comes on. But in Virginia, voting news, inaccurate mailers were sent to 30,000 plus voters in Fairfax and Prince William counties, directing voters to the wrong polling place locations. And so it would be important for those of you all who are in those jurisdictions to know that check those locations first. If you're going to go in and vote, make sure that you have the right location. I think they're backtracking now and trying to correct all of that. So those resources will be available to you. In DC voter news, the DC Office of Campaign Finance said that Ward 3 Councilmember Alyssa Silverman violated rules while polling the Ward 3 race before the June primaries and has been ordered to refund Ward 3 poll expenditures. The OCF says Councilmember Silverman should not have polled the primary when she was not a candidate in the contest. Finally, we bid farewell to milliner Vanilla Bean, DC's hat lady. Miss Bean died on October the 23rd, this week, at the age of 103. And someone told me the other day that they had an opportunity to talk to the family, and when Miss Bean, who was in pretty poor health, at the hospital officials told her that she, was she was dying, and they said she looked at the doctor and said, "Already?" you know, I mean, 103, and Miss Bean was going really strong. You can read more about Miss Bean in this week's Washington Informer, and because we wrote before and talked about that in her biography written by James Wright, that last month Mayor Bowser presented with Miss Bean with the Mayor's Arts Award for distinguished honor on her 103rd birthday. So we appreciate Vanilla Bean. We appreciate the life and contributions that she's made to this community, and the women that she just made look so beautiful, including Dr. Dorothy Height, to name a few. Really well-known folks that she made hats for. She has a very, very fascinating story. Hopefully one day we'll see a movie about Miss Bean or something soon. So we're going to let you know our guests. We have a great show, a great lineup today. We have Cynthia Cifuentes with the chair of the Heart Walk, and Gail Harris Berry of the American Heart Association. She's the ambassador in a segment sponsored by the American Heart Association. So we're going to be talking about the Heart Walk. We also have Melanie Adams, director of the Smithsonian Institution Anacostia Community Museum, which has been doing a lot of great, having a lot of great programming. And we're going to talk all about what's happening over at the Anacostia Museum and what's coming up and how you can play a role in making sure that our community's history and legacy continues. We have John K. Marshall, Senior Vice President, Investment Officer, and Senior Portfolio Manager at Wells Fargo. So we'll be talking to him about money stuff, finances, all that's important. So we're grateful that he's going to be with us today, as well as Deandra Coleman, who's the Chief Executive Officer of Beyond the C-Suite. She's joining us today, and we'll find out where is there to go beyond the C-suite? Well, I think Deandra has some answers for us, and actually how to get us there. So we're going to go now to Curtis Knowles for our weekly news broadcast, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go away.
This is WIN TV News, bringing you the news that matters. WNBA star Brittany Griner will remain in a Russian prison and serve the bulk of her 9-year sentence following the Moscow Regional Court's decision on Tuesday to uphold her earlier conviction and sentence for drug possession. The court credited Griner, who has been in custody since February 17th, with only a day and a half of time served. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said, quote, "We are aware of the news out of Russia that Brittany Griner will continue to be wrongfully detained under intolerable circumstances after having to undergo yet another sham judicial proceeding today." Sullivan stressed that the Biden administration is working to secure the release of Griner, as well as Paul Whelan, an ex-Marine who has been detained in Russia since 2008. 3 real estate firms that allegedly denied voucher holder access to rentals or imposed illegal requirements on low-income applicants have been ordered to pay a $10 million settlement, D.C. Attorney General Carl Racine announced on Thursday. Darrow Management Services, Darrow Realty, and Infinity Real Estate have all received a lifetime ban from managing property in the district. The agreement, announced at noon at the news conference, counts as the most significant civil penalty in a housing discrimination case in American history. Racine comments saying, quote, "When landlords break the law and refuse to accept vouchers, it's reminiscent of Jim Crow-era housing discrimination policies intended to restrain opportunities for Black residents. We're sending a message to all landlords. If you follow this playbook, you will face consequences." Attorneys for Donald Trump have accepted service of the subpoena issued to the former president by the House committee investigating the January 6 riots. The panel voted unanimously to subpoena Trump to testify at the end of its latest hearing earlier this month. The subpoena calls for the former president to testify either at the Capitol or by video conference at 10 a.m. on Eastern Standard Time on November 14th, after the midterm elections. Trump was also given a deadline of November 4th to turn over documents to the committee, including any potential communications he had regarding extremist groups that played a role in the Capitol riot and any attempts in the past year to contact witnesses testifying before the committee.
Thank you so very much, Curtis. And so now we're going to return to our programming, and I'm very excited to have Cynthia Cifuentes with us with Kaiser Permanente. She's the Vice President of Brand Communications and Community Engagement and co-chair of the 2022 Greater Washington Region Heart Walk. And also Gail Harris Berry, who is a 5-time, oh God bless you, Gail, 5-time heart attack survivor. That's the word. I'm a survivor. I'm gonna dedicate that song to you. And longtime supporter of the American Heart Association. She is the American Heart Association volunteer ambassador. Both of you are welcome to WIN TV.
Thank you.
Wonderful. So let's, Cynthia, I'm going to start with you. I mean, the Heart Association is doing its Heart Walk again this year. Can you tell us why you're supporting the American Heart Association so critical, why Kaiser is supporting it? And you're muted, Cynthia, so if we can... She's not muted.
She has. Tell her she needs to get all the way out and then come back.
Okay, so we'll keep talking with you, Gail. We'll come to you because we're not hearing Cynthia. If she can go out and come back in again, that would be great. Okay. So yeah, I don't even know where to start except to say, tell us your story.
Okay, as you said in the intro, I'm a 5-time heart survivor. My first episode with heart disease was at age 46. But my family has a long history of heart disease. All the men on my father's side of the family died before the age of 50, except for my dad. My dad celebrated his 80th birthday just last week. However,
Wonderful.
He had quadruple bypass and he also lives with a defibrillator. So he's the only male that has reached a golden age of 80. But my sister and I and first cousins all had episodes of heart disease early in life. As I said, my first episode, I was 43. My sister was a year behind me, and then one of my cousins was age 28. So we have a long history of heart disease. And so knowing that, just getting involved with the American Heart Association was important for us to educate ourselves and to try to live longer. We know this disease is the number one killer among humankind, not just women, not just African American, but it is at a greater level to African Americans that we seem to die from the disease. So just getting out there and supporting the effort and the work as it relates to getting the word out that cardiovascular disease is preventable and treatable. That's been my mission and goal as far as being a volunteer ambassador with the American Heart Association for the number of years that I have been.
Gail, tell me, I mean, you've told us about the members of your family that have suffered from heart disease. I mean, why is it important, I think, for people to know their family history, to know, and how did that, impact you? I mean, knowing that, wow, others have had this and now I'm facing it, what difference did it make to you to know that?
Well, sometimes in families, we keep things a secret. We don't know why grandmama died or why having a big mama and all that. But it was important to me because that seemed like really tragic in my family that so many people were dying before they turned 50. So that's how come it was important to get to know our history. There had to be some link to why this was happening. And so that's how come I made it a mission to start, doing some further investigation research for me and my family as to what was actually going on. Many times, what I learned in this process is that at first people didn't really put much into family history or the linkage to heart disease, that it was like an excuse, they said. But because of modern medicine and technology now, we know that there is a direct link and we are predisposed to this disease if it runs in your family.
Wow. I mean, that's good information because, we do need to continue to, have those conversations. You're right. Sometimes in our families, we're sometimes just really disconnected. And, I don't know why folks don't want to share information, but it's good to know, not only for heart disease, but a lot of other conditions as well. And I'm glad you all were able to go down that road. Cynthia, are you with us?
I am. I apologize
for
some technical difficulties. It was connected to the wrong microphone. So
no problem. So why is Kaiser jumping into this? What is it? I mean, I know you all do health, and full disclosure, I am a customer. But yeah, why is it? Why was participating in this heart walk so important to Kaiser?
Well, heart health is really foundational to who we are, right? So at Kaiser Permanente, prevention is really core to our philosophy and how we treat our patients and how we really look upstream to make sure that we can really have our patients live longer, healthier lives. And so we do more than just treat illness. We provide preventative screenings. We also have wellness programs. We also work in the community because we know that we have health disparities, and our communities of color are much more at risk of heart disease than other populations. So we really look at from an equity lens, and I should say it's foundational. I shouldn't even call it a lens because a lens is what you take off. But we look at it really in terms of being integral to the fabric of who we are and looking at from an equity perspective to make sure that we're culturally competent in how we deliver our care. And heart health is really foundational to that. And I think there's just some natural alignment with, the American Heart Association and what they're looking to do and what we do as an integrated care delivery system. We have a shared focus on heart health and preventative health, and little steps such as walking every day can make long-term headways in terms of how you can live a longer and healthier life. And staying active with healthy eating and active living is critical to who we are, and it's also very aligned with who American Heart Association and what they stand for. So
I am going to ask Gail about some lifestyle changes, maybe that she and her family have adopted. But before going there, I would want to know if Kaiser has made some protocol changes. I mean, recognizing here you have a family that has a history of heart disease. Mm-hmm. What is it that Kaiser expects, or their clients should expect, or patients should expect from Kaiser when it comes to, probing or asking those questions? Is there something new in your protocols now that require that, or are you?
I wouldn't necessarily say that they're new per se. Mm-hmm. They've always been foundational to who we are, which really distinguishes us in the marketplace. But one of the things we do, particularly around, screening for cholesterol, diabetes, and so for all surrounds, there are multiple elements within just how you live in your lifestyle that will have long-term effects in terms of your heart health. And so one of the things we do, particularly in the primary care setting, in all of your settings, is we really encourage screenings, whether that be BMI, glucose, hypertension, and so forth, because what we find is oftentimes those are caught too late in the I want to say in the healthcare spectrum. And so we make that really, whether you're getting your eyes checked, whether you're getting going to see a gynecology appointment, really who you are in mind, body, and spirit is foundational to all the physicians' practices. And then if you layer that with cultural competence, so we have our physicians that really go through, they undergo cultural training, understanding that the Latinx community are much more at risk of diabetes, hypertension, and so forth, just as well as the Black communities, and making sure that we need to stay vigilant and understand that there's different genetic disparities that just happen in terms of who we are and how we are personalized as individuals. And then how does that correlate and couple into some of our eating habits, right? Do we have high starch foods and so forth? So you really have a physician that takes all that into mind and really looks at the whole you and everything that comes with you, cultural, environmental, social factors, and so forth. And we really believe that that's fundamental to our model and fundamental to our success, versus treating you when you're really sick. We really want to manage those early on so that we don't have to see you when you're sick. So
right.
And I don't want to say we don't want to see you, but we don't want to, say that, but that we really try to fix the root cause before it becomes an issue, and taking all those equity disparities into account is really critical to our success.
Yeah, I think where I was going though with that is about family history. I mean, how is that part of the protocol to ask about family health history?
Absolutely. So I'll give my perfect example. I'm Latinx. Diabetes runs very deep in my family. Pretty much my uncles and aunts have passed away on it. Both my grandparents on both sides died from diabetes. And so what we typically do is we have screenings, and we have questionnaires, and we talk about, tell me a little bit about your family history. And we do that at the onset. So the first day you become our patient, we sit down, we go through your cultural background, we go through your family history, go through all that. And then that goes into what's called an, EMR, electronic medical record. So whether you're getting your eyes checked, whether you're getting a mammogram, everyone follows and knows your whole history of family history. And so we take that into account in terms of how we issue medical protocols. Perfect example, Black and brown communities are much more at risk, particularly in the breast cancer space. So we're going to be making sure that we get mammograms earlier in your stage because you're higher at risk. Mm-hmm. And so we find those. And so we have different, what we call point of service encounters, POEs. So at every touch point, we're making sure that you're up to date on all of your preventative measures and checks to ensure that, especially if you're at higher risk, to make sure that we are mitigating some of it and we're getting early detection so we can have some interventions to be able to change that, taking into account your cultural background, your ethnic background, and your family history. Right. So that's one of the things that we do.
So that all sounds good. And that I think that's information for all of our viewers, whether you're at Kaiser or not, but at least to know the kinds of questions to ask or that you think you should be asked. And if you're not, to just have those conversations with your physician. Gail, I'm not sure if that's how, you encountered or discovered. You said on your own you started looking, but,
Yes. I think Ms. Cifuentes for all the information she provided and what Kaiser does, their screenings and all of that. And all of that is right and all of that is good. But for me, being a 5-time heart survivor, as you forestated, it's because I had been vigilant about my own health care. I was turned away from hospitals 5 different times. I was born and raised right here in Washington, D.C., at Freedman's Hospital, which is now Howard University. And so a lot of times, even with, I had a stress test. I had gone to the hospital, was admitted overnight with a heart monitor, the whole 9 yards, released and saying, nothing's wrong, but gave me a script to go get a stress test. Had nuclear stress test, went through it with flying colors. The next day I was back in the emergency room 5 additional times. And I just had to keep going because I knew something was wrong. Something was wrong. And I was determined not to die. Right. And so because I kept going back and forth, and finally one of the doctors in the emergency room saw me on that 5th trip, and he looked at me and he said, "Ms. Harrisberry," and I said, "Yes." He said, "What happened to you?" By this time I was so haggard, I could hardly put one foot in front of the other. I was barely making it, but I knew something was wrong and I refused to leave. Then they started treating me as if I was having mental illness. They start treating, you've been here 5 times. We've run every test. This is to the screenings. We've run every test. In fact, some of them we've run 2 and 3 times. You have to leave this hospital. I said, "Well, I'm not."
Yeah.
I sat there from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and nobody saw me because I had been there until this doctor recognized me, agreed to take me in to do a cardio cath, and I had a 90% blockage, which would have killed me.
Wow. Let me ask, and I'm so glad that, you were persistent, like you said, in managing or taking care, just knowing something's wrong and I'm not leaving until somebody, recognizes that. But since then now, again, I want to talk a little bit about lifestyle changes. And Ms. Cifuentes talked about walking. I mean, what has changed in your lifestyle regimen?
So, okay, as I indicated, my dad's still living. So we all do walking. I have AHA laughing all the time because I have a Fitbit ever since 2013. I want to say I am never without a Fitbit. I sleep in it. I want to track myself when I get up to go to the bathroom at night. I am always walking. I go to, but American Heart Association has what's called check, change, control. Okay. So if you put those things in place, check your blood pressure, your glucose levels, all of that, as the sister Cynthia said, and then change the things that you can. We know we can't change some risk factors like our ethnicity. We can't change that. But the things that we can change, our eating habits, our exercise regimen, those things put in place and then control, then monitor them on a regular. When something is going on, when something is askew, or when you need to make some changes. Because sometimes you can get to a point where it worked before, but now it's not working. So you need to change that to something else. So I walk every day. I retired this year. June the 3rd was my last day after 42 years in the federal government.
Good for
And
you.
and immediately I joined my fitness center here where I live in Prince George's County. And so Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, I'm at the pool because you got to get the cardio in. Then right now, because it's the fall time, I'm raking leaves every day. So I come home and do that. And then because of COVID, we all had to monitor certain things. I was a member of Planet Fitness. I dropped my membership during COVID because we didn't understand all what was happening going on.
Right,
so
right.
I bought a treadmill, an exercise bike, an ab lounge, you name it, I bought it. So now I have it in my own house so that I can do what I need to at least try. Because what I have learned about this disease is, as vigilant as you can be, it's still called a silent killer.
Right,
And
right.
you can still have an episode, or you can go into cardiac arrest.
Well, I mean, we're running out of time. I appreciate both of you all being with us today. We don't have the information up about when this walk is going to take place.
Oh,
So
yeah,
if
let
you
me
can-
give it to you.
Yeah.
November the 5th.
Okay.
Yes, the Heart Walk is November 5th. So that's not this weekend, but the following weekend. And it is a great opportunity for us to come together, to network, to get your walk in, and to also fundraise. Where you can sign up is you can walk as an individual, you can walk as a group, and there's no fee to join the walk, but we certainly would love to have some dollars donated to the American Heart Association. So you can do that by going to www.greaterwashingtonheartwalk.org. Again, that's greaterwashingtonheartwalk.org. November 5th on the Washington National Mall. We're excited because we hadn't been able to do it since COVID. So we're going to be out there. They have a dog parade. They have exercise, dancing out there, opening ceremony, you name it. We'll have something out there for you to participate in doing this walk. We have a grand opening and looking forward to seeing some of you out there walking with us and getting this done and still bringing awareness to this number one killer, because we still need to understand and know that heart disease is preventable and treatable, and you can start with a walk.
And you are an authority. You know what you're talking about. So thank you so much, Gail. Thank you, Gail Harris-Berry.
Thanks for having me.
I think I'm going to hire Gail.
Oh yeah, no question. And yes, we were running it across the bottom of the screen for folks that missed it, and we'll do it again a little bit later. But thank you so much. I'm wishing you a successful walk. The American Heart Association, thank you for bringing these two guests to us. It's fantastic. And maybe I'll see you out there.
Yes.
Okay.
Look forward to you, Denise. Bye.
All righty. Take care. So, yeah, I mean, gosh, we need to turn the table on our health. We just need to turn the table. Every month when we talk about some health condition, we always have to recognize the fact that, we just need to be like Gail is, take our health in our hands and try to change the situation that a lot of us African Americans find ourselves in. I'm not going to preach because I want to talk to Melanie Adams now. Melanie is the director of the Smithsonian's Anacostia Community Museum, right over here in Southeast. And you all, I want you to talk about the museum, but Melanie, I know that even the museum has focused on healthy eating and food and nutrition and all that. So welcome to Win TV. And if you want to just jump in on that topic for a minute, I'll let you do it.
Sure, that would be great. But I also wanted to say, I know you walk because we run into each other in the park.
That's right. That's right.
So there are lots of us out there in Anacostia Park on weekends trying to get our walk on and being healthy. But
that's right.
Kind of as you said, the museum really has been in that space with our the exhibit we had. It just closed, but looking at issues of food and food insecurity.
Yeah.
And how that impacts your health. And I think we saw that dramatically during COVID with underlying conditions and just all of these different issues that impact communities of color.
Well, that's excellent. I mean, I think that's fantastic. People need to get those messages every place they go. And you all have some things coming up there at the museum. Melanie, how long have you been there? now?
So I started in August of 2019. So
Oh,
about 3 years, 2.5 of them during the pandemic.
I know. So the doors are about to open.
Yes. So we are opening back up November 1st. We had to close a few weeks because we were switching out and changing exhibits. But we're excited to welcome people back for our next experience. We're not calling it an exhibit, but it really is more of an experience called the Utopia Project, Inspiration for Creative Activism.
Okay.
And really what this exhibit does is it asks you to create and think about the utopia that you want to live in and what would that look like. And we give you the tools to help you create that world. And throughout the exhibit, you'll also see historic examples, because as we know, there are so many change makers in our community who've dreamed something and made it a reality.
Right.
So you get to learn more about their stories throughout the way, but then hopefully you're developing your own utopia and what changes you want to see. So examples of utopias that we provide people is you may want to live in a world without guns, or you may want to live in a world where everyone is housed, or, looking at everyone has access to an equal education, everyone has access to clean water. So really thinking about a lot of those issues that impact communities and how we as individuals can make change.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, you stretch people's memories, thoughts, because, we always say what we want to get rid of, and we don't recognize the fact that there may be the power to do that. And I think that's what this experience allows, to think about, if I could create the kind of world that I want to live in, how would I do that?
Right. And one of the great examples that's in there that was also a carryover from our food exhibit was the Black Panther breakfast program. Mm-hmm. And the Black Panthers thinking about, we want to create a world where children do not go hungry. And they did that by creating their breakfast program. So they kind of created the world that they wanted to see, and to show that example. And especially, I always say, people, when they think of the Black Panthers, they always think of Oakland. And we had Black Panther breakfast program right here in DC. That's right. So that's right. Really showing how an idea as small as that then becomes a national program.
Wow, that's amazing. That was good. So that's coming up, and then what else do you have going on?
So for that one, let me add one more thing. So we are having an exhibit. Well, we're having an opening for that project on Sunday, November 6th, from 3 to 6 p.m.
Is the public invited to that?
Yes. So that is a public opening. We will have a DJ. We'll have some great food from Ben's Chili Bowl. So it's a great opportunity for people to come out and actually experience the project for themselves. But then the other thing we are doing is, because of COVID, one of the things I'm always cognizant of is, how do we make things COVID safe? Because we never know when we're going back.
Right. Exactly.
You want some outdoor things. And so one of the projects we've been working on for almost a year is an augmented reality tour of Southwest called Before the Bulldozers, Historic Southwest DC Exposed. And what this really looks at is gentrification in Southwest. It looks like that story of, how did Southwest transition from what it was to what it currently is? And it's a wonderful opportunity for people to be outside, because you're actually doing a walking tour. It's only about 45 minutes, so it's not a long walk. It starts at the Metro, at the Waterfront Metro, so it's easy to access. And the great thing about it is it actually uses the photographs of Joseph Owen Curtis, his collection from the public library, to show what the images, and to use his images to show what it looked like in the 50s and 60s.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And then for those of you who don't want to do the walk, you can see the entire thing online on our YouTube channel. But all of this is on our website. So on our website front page, you'll see Before the Bulldozers. You can click on it and it'll take you to the YouTube page if you want to just see each of the experiences separately.
It's interesting, and I really wish, I miss him, and really wish he were alive today, because he would have been a great contributor to that exhibit. But we had a writer here named Fab Fisher, Warren Fab Fisher. And Fab used to always talk the story about, the migration from Georgetown to Foggy Bottom to Southwest and then to Southeast, particularly Berry Farms, and how that migration of Black folks took place in the city. But he knew Southwest, old Southwest,
Right.
that you're talking about. And so we see all these tall buildings and all this, development that's happening over there. But there is a fascinating story underground, kind of to say, before all of this happened. So this is really great. I like that. I'm going to make sure we put the website up so that folks can get that in case. Go ahead.
And the nice thing about Before the Bulldozers is you can do it as a guided experience. So we do offer that on the website. If you have a school group, a church group, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, whomever that you want to schedule, you can come and do that. And we'll provide the devices. So we actually downloaded the app on devices that we'll provide to you. You can also do it as a self-guided tour. You can go over there any time of day and just download the app on your own phone and do it that way. So there are multiple opportunities to engage with the content.
And let's say if there's someone that says that, that has a story to tell or some piece of information that they felt as though could have or should have been included, is there an opportunity to talk to folks at the museum to say, well,
for this project specifically, it's completed, but where that goes into play though is with the guided experiences, we do have a discussion afterwards.
Okay.
And so when we've done the guided experience before with people who remember the neighborhood, that's when you get a lot of those rich stories and them being able to share them with the group.
Wonderful, wonderful. What else is going on? I mean, it's not that great big building, but it is a nice sized building. But you've got a lot of activities going on over there. What else? What else do you have?
Yeah, so something else that we have, which we also debuted this fall, was we installed an outdoor projection system. And again, this is an opportunity, always thinking COVID safe, where we're going to project different images on the outside of our building at different times. So the next set of images will go up in December. And this is another wonderful kind of passive opportunity as people are passing by the building to really just help bring it to life a little more and let people know that there are things happening in the building. And then on our website, we have a variety of different programs that happen on Saturdays. Coming up, we have, I don't know the exact date, but I know we have a Kwanzaa program happening in December. Nice. So I think, coming out of COVID, we're just happy to welcome people back to the community, to the museum, let them know we are open and we are kind of ready to serve them.
And last question, any kinds of, I think all of the programs are child friendly, but any children's programming that you have?
So we just finished up actually a kind of storytelling program. We just finished up a 4-week series or a 4 series of that. And so we will be adding family programs this January.
Okay.
So that's something to be on the lookout for, looking at Saturdays, most likely Saturday mornings or afternoons. I'm not sure which one, but we are looking at bringing back our family programs.
Most important thing is to follow the website. Go to the website.
That's where you're going to get the most up-to-date information. And again, I want to just invite everyone out on Sunday, November 6th, between 3 and 6 to celebrate the new experience, the Utopia Project, Inspiration for Creative Activism.
All right. Melanie, thank you so very much for being with us and for sharing this information and inviting all of us to come and participate. So look forward to seeing you there.
Yes.
And, keep us abreast, but great work.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. So yes, now we've got a walk next weekend. And then we also have the Utopia Project at the Anacostia Neighborhood Museum. And so my weekend actually is filling up. This looks exciting. And I love to do cultural things on the weekend. And that's why I love Win TV, because it helps to keep that calendar full. But now we're going to switch. We're going to segue a little bit into finances and money management and, household issues and all of that. I'm happy to bring on John K. Marshall, the Senior Vice President, Investment Officer, and Senior PIM Portfolio Manager. I don't know what all that means, Mr. Marshall, but thank you so much for being on the show. and for being the Win TV, and just, help us to understand, I mean, what we should be doing in these financial times right now.
Oh, you're very welcome. And thanks, Denise, for having me on. And all of the stuff in that titles mean I just get a chance to help a lot of people.
Good.
So right now we know the election's important, and I hope everyone gets out and vote on election day. But what I wanted to talk about today was inflation. Mm-hmm. That's the thing that just every single month just keeps popping up. We're hearing it, and you're seeing the Fed react to it, and you're seeing the markets react to it based off the inflation numbers. Okay, so in August, the CPI, Consumer Price Index inflation report, came out at 8.3%. So basically what that means are goods and services 12 months ago about 8.3% more expensive. Okay, and we really don't want to see inflation. We don't want to see a high inflation number. So the Fed, they targeted, it says, well, we need to get that number down to about 2 to 4%. So what they're doing is raising rates to try to tamp down prices, try to tamp down spending to get inflation under control. Because right now Americans are basically seeing inflation at levels they haven't seen in a long time, and it's really eating into the purchasing power of the American consumer. Okay, so October is also financial planning month. So now is a great time as we're looking at inflation to look at your budget, to look at your investment strategy, to look at your tax planning, and also to look at your retirement plans as we go into the new year.
I really, we talked about this here at the Informer, and now we know who to call to get all the answers that we're looking for, because we're trying to figure this out. And one of the things I keep hearing, first of all, because of COVID, I mean, there's a lot of money flowing, right? People were getting businesses are getting PPP, and people were getting the checks, whatever those checks were we all got from I guess the federal government. Mm-hmm. And so, it's not that necessarily people were saving, they were spending, right?
Right.
So, I mean, I'm going down this road, and I want you to tell me whether I'm right or wrong, or correct me. But it seems as though we were spending, and we continue to spend. So even with the inflation, we're still continuing to spend. So is inflation meant to correct that, to get us to reduce our spending? I don't understand the two. It's like you got money, you spend money. People say, oh, they got money, we can keep raising the prices. Oh, it doesn't matter because they're going to keep spending money until they stop. And then when they stop, then inflation goes down. Help me.
That's all right. No, great point. And a lot of people find it kind of confusing. So you're just like the rest of us trying to figure out, why is inflation such a bad thing? So a couple of things that you said was, one, when all of the money was pumped into the system, you saw Congress doing it with stimulus dollars. You saw the Fed lowering interest rates. You saw all of the money, PPP. You saw all of us getting checks. So now we all have a lot of money. But on the flip side, it's not like we had any more resources, right? So if anything, the resources were less because people weren't going to work and the factories weren't running. So now we have a ton of money, and we're all saying, well, I want to buy it. Well, if you try to buy a car right now, used to be you could go in and negotiate a price on lower than the MSRP. But right now, it's like, not only do you have to have an MSRP price, but because more people want that car, because more people have money, the car dealers are saying, well, we're going to go MSRP plus 8,000. plus 9,000, plus 50,000. Some are really high in vehicles. So you don't want inflation because it'll just make things more and more and more expensive. I used to use a scenario with my clients to try to help them understand inflation. So let's say you bought a book of stamps 20 years ago and you didn't use them, so you had 2 stamps left, right? So 20 years ago, you mailed that letter. It went through, it got to the person you were that was expecting to receive the letter. Today, you're like, hey, I got a couple of stamps, when it was 15 cents 20 years ago. Today is much more expensive. You put that letter on, they're going to return it. Same letter, same weight, same one sheet of paper. But because of inflation, because of that loss of purchasing power, you can't do the same things that you were able to do with time. So that's why we don't want inflation to run away. We want inflation to be under control.
Right. So what recommendations are you having for, individuals like me who can't figure that part out, but it looks like, things are going to cost me more. That is one thing I understand. So what do I do personally to manage my resources, or our viewers do to manage their resources during this period when things are getting so expensive?
Right. Great question. So what you should figure out, and what everyone should figure out, is what's your personal inflation rate? How is inflation affecting you? So for instance, if you're not driving into work, you're still working, but you're working from home, well, your expenses may be a little bit less than someone that's actually commuting into work. Okay. Let's say you're a vegan and you don't eat meat, and you're not seeing the price of how meats are all going up. So by being a vegan, you're missing some of the worst parts of inflation because you're not buying meat. So what you want to do is calculate what's your personal inflation rate. So I'll give you an example to make it easy. So let's say last year you were spending about $3,100 a month. That was your monthly expenses. Okay, you're doing the same thing this year, but now it's costing you $3,500 a month. Okay, for your monthly expenses. That $400 difference, okay, that is costing you, is a 12.9% increase. So that's your personal inflation number. So you're running at 12.9, whereas the overall economy right now for August is running at 8.3. Okay, so you have to make some changes, because not only is inflation affecting you, but it's affecting you even more than the typical American. So 4 things you should do, okay, is write down your budget. Okay, do a deep dive, look at every single dollar you have coming in, look at every single dollar you have going out, and just really know where's your money going. Okay. Second thing is to think about your 2023 expenses. Okay. So if you know you're planning next summer, you have a trip, you have a wedding, you have a big ticket purchase, then maybe this year, as we go into the holidays, maybe tamp it down a little bit. So don't spend as much money on your Christmas gifts. Maybe for the holiday travel, maybe you have a nice family meal at home on Thanksgiving instead of doing a destination type of Thanksgiving holiday. Third thing, track your spending. Okay, that's probably one of the most important things you can do. Track your savings and your spending. There's a lot of great apps. I'm a financial advisor, 23 plus years in the business. I still track mine. I use apps. I know where every single thing is going. I know the categories they're hitting in. I know when I'm a little bit over, okay, and I know when I have a little bit more to spend. And then the fourth thing is set limits and put alerts on your credit cards, okay? With us carrying less and less amount of cash every day, it's easy just to tap your phone or swipe your card or insert the card, and it just doesn't feel the same as you pulling out money. So make sure you set those alerts up, so every time you spend, you're seeing it. And the more times you see it, the more you're gonna be like, okay, I think I'm good today.
Right. Those are excellent tips. I really appreciate that. And I really wish we had more time, because I would love to dig a little deeper into this, this inflation piece. I think that folks really want to know what this means, and to get deeper into those recommendations that you have. It's almost like we need to return to a COVID state of mind and just go inside and, drink water and, eat salad or something.
Invite me back, and I'd be more than happy to come on. 4 really quick things.
Sure.
4 quick bits. One is, this too shall pass. We've had environments like this. We're going to get through it. This too shall pass. Don't overreact. Stick to your plan. You have a financial plan. Stick to it. Don't change it just because something else is going on. Something else will always go on. And then the last thing, most important thing over there in Southeast, is go Blue Knights.
All right. No, they'd love to hear that.
Yes.
John Marshall, thank you so much for being with us. We are going to have you back on, because I've got about 3 or 4 more questions I want to ask. So
sounds good.
We'll talk and then get you back on again, especially as we go into this holiday season. So look forward to having you back.
All righty. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. You too. We're going to jump really quick now over here and talk to Deandra Coleman to find out about C-Suite, Beyond the C-Suite. She's the Executive Director, Chief Executive Officer of Beyond the C-Suite. So welcome to the show, Deandra. And tell us really quickly, what is Beyond the C-Suite?
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So, beyond the C suite is really the idea of thinking about what comes after a lot of people reach what they say is the pinnacle of their career. You know, becoming a C suite member is often the goal. And what happens is that once you get there, you realize it's not all it's cracked up to be. And so, beyond the C suite is formulating a career strategy that takes you after when you reach that pinnacle in your career. So whether that's board appointments, whether that is moving into consultancy, if you don't want to stay in the corporate world, it's really mapping out what comes after that position.
Interesting. That's great. Now, for those who might be watching and saying, "What do they mean, C-suite?" What is it? It's not a room at the, at the basketball arena. What is the C-suite?
Yeah. So C stands for chief. So any of those positions, chief executive officer, chief marketing officer, anything that starts with the actual word chief is the C-suite in the corporate world.
Okay. All right. And so what kind of options are there? I mean, what are you telling particularly women about, things that they can do to get beyond that period? What is your organization offering?
Absolutely. So I work specifically with Black senior level executive women. And the hill that I will always die on is curating a really strong personal brand that will move with you no matter where you are in your career. A lot of times people don't think of themselves as a brand. They think of the companies they work for as a brand, but you can interchange the word brand with reputation, so to speak, right? And it's really how you curate an undeniable reputation within the corporate world that moves with you. So if you're looking for a promotion, if you're looking to move to a board appointment, whatever that next level success is in your career, that is the work that I do with my clients.
And it sounds like you have a program that's coming up. I want to talk about that and some of these 1,000 Black women executives that you want to work with. Tell us about that.
Absolutely. I'm so excited about this program. It's called the Seen and Heard Experience. And what it is, it's a cohort for 25 senior level Black executive women to move them into thought leader and subject matter expert within their industry. And so what we're providing for them is an opportunity to pen their book and to pen their signature speech and get professional speaking training so that they too can add published author and professional speaker to their resume and either increase their value within the corporate world or exit stage left if that's what they want to do and they no longer want to be a part of that corporate world. They are now producing additional streams of income for themselves in order to move their career in a way that feels really authentic and unique to them. So the Seen and Heard Experience is the program that helps get them there.
There are a lot of women, particularly in my age group, I think that are, I hear them every day. I'm retiring. And the question is, what's next?
Yes.
And a lot of them don't know, but they're still, have a lot to offer. They're not old, per se, and, are trying to figure out what that next move is going to be. And so this is great to have a way for folks to move to kind of figure out what that next chapter is.
Yeah.
How are you going to select is it 1,000? You said 25 though. 25
yes.
women, right?
So
Okay.
Each cohort is only 25 women. The idea of affecting and elevate 1,000 Black women comes from the idea of giving back, right? So the women who are selected into the program, though it's only 25 at a time, and we will run 2 cohorts per year. So that's only 50 women a year. But I am a big proponent of making sure that when you reach a certain level, you go back and you help the next person. Or from these stories that are being shared from their speeches or their books, it is giving another Black woman permission to step out of the shell that she's been hiding herself in and really reach another level in their career. And so 1,000 Black women, it's not necessarily who will pass through my program, but who will be affected and elevated from the women who do pass through the Seen and Heard Experience.
And how, if women actually, we hope that there's some that are watching the show who want to explore this, how would they do that? How'd they reach out to you?
Absolutely. So it's application based. They can go to theseenandheardexperience.co and read everything that this experience is about. They can fill out the application. We also are accepting nominations. So if you know a deserving high level Black woman who you think should be a part of this program, who has a story to tell, maybe they've been saying for years, like, man, I really would love to write a book, but I just don't have the time. We're removing barriers. You are given a dedicated ghostwriter to help write this book with you, right? So we're not leaving you out in the wind, but you can nominate a person also to be a part of this experience.
This sounds expensive, Deandra. Is it?
I think expense is relative, so
Okay.
I won't necessarily answer that. But I think that outside of expense, you need to look at value, right?
Mhm.
What is the value that you are getting within this program, as opposed to piecemealing it in different ways? And so the beauty of what I love to provide is a one-stop shop for my clients, where you don't have to spend the extra time, because my clients are busy corporate executive women, right? They're mothers, they're wives, they're doing all other things outside of work, plus what they have charged in work. So my business is a one-stop shop. You don't have to research different areas, and financially, it is less than if you were to piecemeal it together. And so you really have to look at the value of what you're getting from the program rather than the expense. And, you know, the people who were definitely right for this program understand value over expense.
So we have a question from one of our viewers from Black Press USA asking whether this is limited to just women in the Washington, D.C. area.
No, absolutely not. It is so. It is going to be a retreat in person where anybody can attend, and then everything else is going to be virtual throughout the year-long program. So anybody in the U.S., anybody globally can participate. It is not location-based.
Okay. And I guess if you visit the website, you'll find out how much the value is for the.
Yes, you will see everything that you're getting with this program. My team and I are super excited to welcome our first 25 women. Applications are being submitted, nominations are being submitted. It has been really, really well received. And I think more importantly, women have been asking for this, especially my clients. You know, like I said, they're like, I don't have time to write a book, so I am providing that solution for them.
What is the time commitment?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it really depends, first and foremost, on the type of book that you want to write. Somebody who's writing a memoir of their entire life is going to have more of a time commitment than somebody who is, talking about how to get from point A to point B, and it's a shorter book. So that really is a personal decision, and that will be talked about in their onboarding with me, with the ghostwriter. But we are asking for that full year to ensure that they can leave this program with a fully published book. It is not just the ghostwriting. We are soup to nuts. Fully published book, as well as the speaking information, marketing your book, public relations around getting your book out there into the public. So all of that is included in this book, but it is a year-long commitment.
Wow, this sounds like something I need to be doing. But anyway, we'll talk about that.
Yes.
And you said it's a year. I had one other. I forgot my other question. I'm sorry, DeAndre. But a year commitment.
Mm-hmm.
And so the deadline. What is the deadline for applying?
Yes, applications are due by November 19th. So you have a few more weeks to get it in. But we do start our application review and our interviews on November 1st. So those begin November 1st, but the applications are not due until the 19th.
Okay. All right. This is fantastic. I mean, I think this is something that a lot of people want and need. As Chef Sahara said, this sounds like an amazing program, and I agree. I think it is. It's something that's much needed, and it helps. It's very helpful, and it is an investment in yourself. That's what it sounds like, and there is a return on that investment.
Yes, sure is.
So,
absolutely.
Well, I want to thank you for being with us, for sharing this information. We hope that folks will apply. And maybe once you get that first class or that first book that's been published by one of your participants, we can have you back on and talk
I'd
about
love
that as
to.
well.
Yeah, thank you
DeAndre,
so much.
have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for being
You as
with
well,
us.
Denise. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So that's it for this edition of Win TV. We've kind of run over a little bit, but that's, what we do sometimes. Remember, Monday is Halloween, so keep your children safe. Don't send them out alone. I know there are a lot of places that are doing what they call trunk or treats. Anything that's a safe place, going in, having parties, whatever you may want to do. And I understand there's a whole bunch of folks that are saying we're going to skip Halloween this year. Folks, they'll get over it. So if that's your decision because of a safety issue, folks will understand. So have a great weekend, be safe, and consider going out to one of those events next weekend, either the Health Walk or going over to Anacostia Neighborhood Museum. Hope to see you somewhere out there. Until next week, have a great weekend.